How's it going? Motor City Miner here. We are on the freeway. Yes, we are not at the farm. We are not at my home. We are on the road. And no, this is not a car mining video, even though I really need to get on doing one of those soon. A little update on how that's going. I am mining in my car as we drive right now, but we are going to a local PC server parts store, literally called PC Server and Parts, to pick up a massive order that I recently made of crypto mining equipment. Now, I have been eyeing the BC-250 for quite some time. If you're not familiar, the BC-250 is essentially bin chips, chips that didn't meet the specification requirements for the PS5. So it's an APU, so it's a CPU with integrated graphics. And I've been eyeing them since I heard about them, but they've been so expensive. So I think they released maybe 18 months ago now, and they were they were sold in ASRock rigs that have 12 cards, and these 12 cards, and plus the rig, costed $15,000. $15,000. And I honestly don't know why it's that expensive. I mean, ETH was about to move from proof of work to proof of stake. The crypto market was already significantly down from its all-time highs. I don't know what ASRock was thinking. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I thought the idea that you could CPU mine and GPU mine at the same time was pretty interesting. But yeah, just cost prohibitive, and had no plans on really getting one unless they showed up real cheap. Now, so I live in Metro Detroit, and we're driving on the freeways here. And as you can tell, well, a place that has these is local, and actually they're really one of the only places that have full rigs, and they have a ton. So link down below to their website. I don't really know the backstory and how they got them. It sounds like, from the little bit I got from them, was that essentially they bought giant pallets at a discounted price from ASRock, just because ASRock was not able to sell them at those enormous costs. Last I looked, they had 400 and I don't know 50 of these rigs available, and that they're at a steep discount. If you buy just one, I think it's $700, which, considering you're getting 12 cards and a whole server rig, like a 4U server rig, and that's really not that bad. But what enticed me was if you buy 10 or more, then you get them for $500 each. So if you're doing the math, that's $41 and some odd cents per card, which is just absolutely insane, considering that, $15,000. $15,000 is now $500. And so, looking at where I'm going with the farm, I'm about to lose a lot of ASICs. And when I say lose, I'm not getting rid of them or hosting them elsewhere or anything like that. What I'm doing is, essentially, once the Bitcoin halving comes, I'll be turning most of my ASICs off. They're just too old, to be honest. They're not as efficient, and for half the yield, it's just not going to be worthwhile. So a lot of my ASICs are going to be turned off, which means I'm going to have a lot of power available. As some of you have known watching my stuff, that's really my biggest hindrance to expansion right now, is I really need to increase the infrastructure in my facility, which I don't really plan to do until the bull run, for a multitude of reasons, but that's just my strategy. It's invest in infrastructure during the bull run and buy equipment in the bear market when things are cheap, and essentially use some of my holdings to help pay for infrastructure once there's been nice accumulation and appreciation and value of my holdings. So Again, not financial advice. That's just kind of what I'm doing personally. Um, but yeah, essentially what my plan is here is to turn those all off here in about 2 months from now, which will free up quite a bit of power that I've been utilizing at the facility. And I really dislike not using all my power, but like I said, I can't justify it for the inefficiency of some of this equipment. Would it still be profitable at my electrical rate? Sure, but like margins would be tiny, and I'd have to sell most of my yield to pay the bill. So I was like, what equipment is out there that I can buy pretty cheaply, that can utilize, this power I'm going to have available? And I was like, well, I could buy, some newer Bitcoin ASICs and everything, but honestly, they're pretty expensive. And because appreciation has started to happen in the market already, prices of ASICs have gone up. So I've actually been eyeing GPUs a little more, and I've always kind of wanted to get into CPU mining, but not in a traditional manner. I really dislike I need a PSU for every motherboard, and I need a motherboard for every CPU, and it takes up a ton of room, and you spend a ton of money on a ton of separate parts. Like, you can't run a motherboard without RAM, and so on and so forth. So like, it just seemed like such a nuisance to have so many things just to get one CPU rig running, that, I just have, it's really just always been low priority. So essentially I was like, well, if I can get like these BC-250s for a cheap cost, they can do both, a GPU and a CPU, and that combined efficiency. Again, you don't really want to run these only one or the other. You only really see the benefit when you're running both types, and that's because no matter what, you're running the CPU and the GPU at the same time. So if you're only using one half of the unit, the other half is wasted energy. So but I was like, damn, like I can actually have like legitimate amount of CPU mining in my facility for the first time, which allows you to either get into coins that go through the traditional CPU, GPU, FPGA, ASIC route earlier, or mine coins that only are CPU mineable, or as in some cases, like some coins can be GPU mined, but they're actually less efficient than on a CPU. So I was like, all right, we'll keep an eye on these. And I don't really know how I found this store, to be honest. I wish I knew about it sooner because they're local to me. But I had just been like looking at prices and everything. They have an eBay store, and that's where I first found them. And I had been watching it on eBay, but the costs were still pretty expensive on eBay. It's like $1,000. But then just one day while I was bored and I saw Soat's video on the actual performance of these, I was like, you know what, like, let me see, like, is there another way to get to these people not through eBay? And I actually found out, yeah, they have a actual online store, and the costs are a lot cheaper, probably because they don't have to pay the eBay fees. So link down below to that website. But yeah, on their website, definitely a lot cheaper than their eBay store. I think they also have an Amazon store and a Newegg store, but it's always just more expensive on those. Again, because they're going to have to pay those businesses fees, so definitely recommend buying directly from their website. So what I ended up doing, what I ended up doing was essentially being like, well, hell, I'm going to have a bunch of power. I have a decent amount of capital at the moment. Not a ton, but, these are so cheap. I was like, I'll just buy 12 whole rigs. I figured out that's about how much power I'll have available to me. And that's if they're at full capacity, which after optimization and overclocking, they won't be. But I always want to, plan as if they're at full capacity in case, your overclock's unset or something like that. So the rigs use 2,400 watts max. So I was like, all right, cool. So with the amount of power I have available, I can handle 12 of these things. So I went ahead and bought 12. Yeah, so for $6,000, I got 144 BC-250s, which, like I said, that's like $41 and some cents per unit, which is absolutely crazy. So super excited to get these. I have no idea if they're all going to fit in my car. They probably won't. Mainly because, well, I don't have the biggest car. I have no idea how big these are. I mean, they're 4U and 19 inches wide, but how big are the boxes? I have no idea. But yeah, we're going to pick up 144 BC-250s spread across 12 rigs. And again, that's $41 and some odd cents per card, and that's essentially saying I'm getting the rigs for free. So realistically, if you think that the actual server case is worth $100 or something, which it probably is. I mean, they seem to be pretty well built and have all the couplings and everything. Realistically, I'm probably like $30 a unit, right? So it's just kind of not a no-brainer, but like an opportunity that made sense. They're local, so that's great. I got a little discount for doing local pickup. Now, that's not to say the shipping. So if you buy from them, I can't remember what the threshold is, but I believe any of these rigs is over the threshold, even if you just buy one. That they ship free. So for anything over a certain dollar amount, and like I said, I believe even one rig is over that dollar amount. So I could have had them shipped to me for free, but honestly, I'd rather pick them up and not have them be handled with shippers who don't really give a damn about anything. And they're local. Throw them a favor, throw them a bone. Why make them pay for shipping if I'm 20 minutes away? So yeah, we've been, as you've seen in this video, we've been driving out of the city. Started down in the city where I live and where the farm is. They're outside of Detroit. They're in Metro Detroit. So really cool if you're in the area. Check them out. But yeah, really excited to get these 12 unit BC-250 rigs. It's probably going to take me a while to get them online, especially because I don't have any traditional server racks, which, I mean, I could put these on my shelves I have, but honestly, they're designed to be on server racks, like on 19-inch wide server racks, and they come with the rails, and that just sounds really nice for, like, long-term maintenance and having to do anything on these. So definitely need to get some more infrastructure, get those racks. I think that these are going to go in the Blue Squadron room. So that's where I currently have 8 octominers. The octominers will probably go to the standard mining rooms, and I'll have to adjust some plug locations. So I have a lot of 30 amp circuits running to those other rooms right now that I won't really need once I stop ASIC mining in those rooms, which also it's just time for summer, so that should help as well with heat, because I still don't have the best ventilation system there. Again, all stuff I plan on addressing during the bull run. But yeah, I'm gonna have to bring some of those 30 amp circuits back into the Blue Squadron for these new server racks I'm gonna input. So really, really good stuff there. A lot of work, lots of work. But it'll be cool. I'm real excited to have 144 CPUs for CPU mining, which I've never done before. So I'm going from 0 to like 100 and 0 to 144 to be honest. But from a overall just how much I'm using, 0 to 60 in 0 milliseconds essentially. It's no real CPU mining operation to a rather large one. But yeah, should be an interesting journey here. Also excited to see what they can do. So again, these units are, since they're cut down APUs, they're not necessarily amazing at core heavy algorithms because they didn't meet the PS5 spec. So my understanding, looking at all the documentation on these and everything, is ASRock really geared them towards memory intensive algos, on the non-CPU side. Obviously CPU side, just mind what you can CPU wise, but on the GPU side of these cards, they really are better for memory algos, which is kind of interesting to me because right now everything's obviously been core heavy and therefore goes to ASICs, but hopefully there's some coins here that come up now or in the bull run that utilize more memory. I don't really plan on doing ETC, nothing against it, ETC. In my mind, these cards still can't compete with the ASICs on the network. But I do think Auto Lycos and Ergo, which I haven't really mined excessively, mainly because honestly, it's been so much more profitable to have my cards on other things that I've just kind of ignored it. And when I say profitable, I mean even long term. I just don't think Ergo will have the price appreciation that say a Lithium or Radiant or even Caspa, because I mined Caspa on GPUs way back when. It just never was an enticing of a risk for reward type situation. It just seemed like the safe bet, and because of that, I've kind of stayed away from it. But I've looking at Soat's videos and stuff, it looks like for Auto Lycos these can be pretty efficient, which is pretty exciting. So I might actually get into Ergo mining while also mining something on CPU. I'm not sure if I'll do Varus or what's the other one Zephyr, Raptorium. There's definitely a couple CPU coins that I wish I've been mining. And with 144 of these, you can definitely diversify, no problem. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Comment down below what you think I should be mining with these. Obviously, I can mine any GPU coin, but again, it's how efficient are they going to be in it? And these cards really were meant more for memory algos, like Auto Lycos or ETH hash or whatnot. So we'll see what those are. Maybe do some testing. I know So did a whole bunch of testing already though, so I don't want to bore you guys with that. So this is going to be just like all my content, more about my operation of it and setting things up rather than how-tos. With that said, I do, and I'm just talking, so sorry for boring all you guys, but just figure I might as well record my thoughts while I'm on this journey here. But yeah, my thoughts during the bull run really are actually because I want to have all my stuff up and running. So essentially, once I turn off a lot of my ASICs here after the Bitcoin halving, get into my final, I'll call it setup for the bull run. And once I'm really in that final setup, have everything running how I want, where I want, there's not going to be much more content on operationally. So I have thought about what does that mean for my channel? What am I going to do during the bull run? And I think it probably will turn into more of how-to guides and how to mine this, how to mine that, whatever the hot coin of the moment is, so to speak. Obviously, if I do make any changes on the farm, I'll still definitely record those. But again, my goal is not to be doing a ton of changes rig-wise once the bull run's here. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier in this, I'll be doing infrastructure changes, and those will all be documented. But those tend to happen at a much slower pace. It's a lot easier to get a X8 Ultra Octminer up and running than getting a new panel installed or something like that. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. So you can see I'm exiting the freeway here, exit 159 in Wixom, which is northwestern suburb of Detroit. We're gonna be almost at the shop here. So again, sorry for the boring, but just figured it was a good time to talk about what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm planning. Should be fun. Again, comment down below, subscribe. Any thoughts on the BC-250? I know some people really aren't that enticed by them, but I think it's a good way for someone like me that I'm at a point where I have so much equipment that running individual rigs that, which I understand the BC-250 kind of is an individual rig, like each card is its own full-fledged computer. But it's definitely like optimized versus like having a true like CPU setup. Like they all have one power supply when they're in the rig together. Like essentially, like if I priced it out, I'm essentially getting 12 CPU mining rigs plus a 12 GPU mining rigs for the same cost as like one good CPU mining rig. Now, what are these as good? No, I mean, it'll probably take 12. Like, I don't know. Looking at the hash rates, like probably 12 of these that are in the rig is probably the equivalent of like 2 good CPU rigs. But again, you add in the fact it can also GPU mine. That's when it gets real enticing. Oop, we lost our camera. All right, fix the camera there for you guys. Nope. All right. Well, we're gonna let that sit for a moment. It was working well while we were on the freeway, but lots of bumps now that we are off the freeway. Let's see if we can get this working for you guys. There we go. All right, guys. Well, sorry about that. Bumpy roads once we got off the freeway, but we are there now. So this is what it looks like from the outside. Nothing too, fancy or in your face. Just a little sign, PC server and parts. But yeah, we're definitely here now. So we're gonna head inside, or I'm gonna head inside. I don't know if they allow video recording, so we'll find out. But if not, we'll see how big these things are here in a moment. And bam, we're back at the farm. I know, jarring cut in the video there. But it actually was quite the large operation there. They have, probably like 50 to 100 employees. So needless to say, they did not want me to videotape, which makes sense, privacy concerns, all that other fun stuff. But it was a cool visit. Massive facility. Doesn't look like much on the outside, but it is a very long building with tons of stuff. Not just crypto, obviously. They do servers, PCs. They supply to tons of large corporations. But yeah, so we're back at the farm. It took me 2 trips with the car because, well, these boxes, they're pretty freaking big. So yeah, you can see we got all 12 here, stacked 4 high. Right now they're just in the green squadron room temporarily until I get some server racks to put these on. But yeah, you can see we got all these here for you 12G BC-250 rigs, all 12 of them. Really excited to get these going. I think temporarily I might put 1 or 2 on a shelf here just to get familiar with them. It is going to take me some time to renovate to get these all up on a server rack. So what I'm thinking, and really this room over here, Blue Squadron's really quite honestly designed for this purpose, since I'm limited on the opening size for this pass-through. So let me find the light for you guys. So you can see I have these 2 existing pass-throughs for my GPU mining rigs. Essentially, each of these is going to become a 42U server rack pass-through, and this will be my BC-250 mining room. So I guess 6 on each side for now. Obviously, we also got our Octo server, which I haven't worked on, which is rack mountable, so maybe that'll entice me to get that guy up and running, throw it on the rack too. So that's what I'm thinking is, we'll have 1 rack here, 1 rack there. Maybe I'll get a few more of these BC-250 rigs. Not really sure, but I think they're pretty cool. So excited to get them back here. It's going to be, like I said, quite the journey to actually set them up in here. So it might be a while before I get them all set up and have the update on this room. But I'm thinking I'll at least get 1 or 2 running just in one of my other mining rooms just to fiddle with it. So look for future content on the BC-250. But yeah, that's all I got for today. It was quite the journey.
Those things are heavy. I think the box said they're like 64 pounds each, and they're huge, so it's just kind of awkward. Was a pain to get them up here, but worth it for the price. $41 a card, assuming which pretty much means the rig is free. Or if I say the server case is like $100, that's like $30 a card. I mean, it was just too good of a deal to pass up. So excited to get those here. So comment down below on what you think of this purchase. You think I'm crazy? Maybe I am. I don't know. But like, comment, subscribe, and that's all I got on my BC-250 delivery. Until next time.